Fox News reporter uses Biden's own words to expose hypocrisy on decision to approve oil drilling in Venezuela. And Ducey basically asked the same question that I asked, which is why is it okay to drill in another country, but you won't drill here in the United States where we don't have to rely on these other countries. It's the same thing I asked about the Russia pipeline, which they gave Russia the authority for the pipeline and all that other stuff. Like it seems like if it's not in this country, it's okay. I think it's to appease the environmentalists. That's the real reason why he does this. It's okay to pump oil in Venezuela, but not here in our own country. And again, and they don't want us to be sovereign. It's another thing. They don't want us to be independent of other countries. They want us to have to rely on other countries. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Now, when you hit that alarm bell, press it again, and you can change it from personal to all. That way, you get all notifications from when I'm putting out stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon where I talk about things I can't talk about here. And there's also a link to my Instagram where I put out even more news. So check that out as well. All right, let's talk about this news. Fox News correspondent Peter Ducey grilled John Kirby, strategic communication coordinator at the National Security Council, on Monday over the Biden administration's decision to permit Chevron to drill in Venezuela. And, I did a whole video on that explaining that. But over the holiday weekend, the Biden administration granted California-based Chevron a license to resume drilling operations in Venezuela. The license is good for 6 months and requires the Venezuela regime to continue good faith negotiations on holding free and fair elections. The development is a partial rollback of Trump era sanctions, but top American leaders made it clear those sanctions will be implemented again if President Nicolas Maduro government reneges on its part of the deal. But the thing is, they have to bring up to date the whole oil infrastructure there, and it'll take a long time. It'll take possibly years, experts say, to even bring it online. So really, it wouldn't help. It wouldn't help us anytime in the near future. But at the White House press briefing, Ducey asked Kirby about the hypocritical nature of Biden's decision. On one hand, approving oil drilling in Venezuela seemingly takes away from American oil companies whose drilling and the revenue it generates would benefit the U.S. On the other hand, if Biden wants to stop oil drilling because of climate change, why is he drilling? Why is drilling in Venezuela acceptable? Quote, why is it that President Biden would rather let U.S. companies drill for oil in Venezuela than here in the U.S., Ducey asked. And Kirby responded by claiming Ducey's question is, quote, not an accurate take on the president's view, but Ducey used Biden's own words in which earlier this month he promised no more drilling to show that it is, in the fact, Biden's view. But instead of responding to the substance of Ducey's point, Kirby regurgitated and debunked a talking point that oil companies are not using thousands of already approved oil permits. Quote, the president has issued 9,000 permits for drilling on U.S. federal lands. 9,000 of them are being unused, Kirby said, which is a total lie. Quote, does the president think there's some benefit to the climate to drill oil in Venezuela and not here? Ducey followed up. But again, Kirby did not directly answer, instead claiming the development, quote, has nothing to do with the climate, despite Democrats emphatically claiming that that oil drilling impacts the climate. Quote, again, there are 9,000 unused permits here in the United States on federal land that oil and gas companies can and should take advantage of 90,000. And we're talking about one there. I'm sorry, he says, and we're talking about one there in Venezuela. Kirby excused, but he's a total lie. It's It's not true that Biden has issued 9,000 permits for oil and gas drilling on federal lands. That number, in fact, comprises permits issued under Biden and former President Donald Trump together. But it is also not true that just because an oil company is not immediately drilling where a permit has been approved, that companies are not working to utilize them. A lease approval indeed does not even mean the land for which a lease has been approved will reliably produce oil. It might not be any oil there. But if the land is suitable for oil production, companies have to find, acquire, and develop the oil, a process that includes more regulatory red tape. So just because you you issue a couple permits here doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to produce any oil, and then you got even more regulation to go through, and he's definitely not making that regulation any more easier for the oil companies. But let me know what you think. Leave comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe. And check out democrepublics.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.